Nikon Z cameras have a few settings that help you handle high contrast scenes. Two of those are active D-Lighting, ADL, and high dynamic range. And while these two may seem like they're interchangeable, there are actually some situations where you may want to stick with one and avoid the other. So in this video, I want to go over the differences between active D-Lighting and high dynamic range and kind of discuss when you might want to use one over the other. But when would you want to use either of these? Well, it first starts off by asking yourself, are you someone who wants to spend time processing photos on a computer, or do you just want to press the shutter button and accept the photo that you have? There's nothing wrong with choosing either one of these paths. But if you're the latter, if you don't want to spend all of this time processing raw files, or you want to press the shutter button and have a picture that you can share right away, then these two settings are going to be very valuable for you if you find yourself shooting in high contrast scenes, because they do address that contrast. They will increase the dynamic range of the picture, all in the camera, so you don't have to process anything. If you do want to process the raw file, you may not find much use in these settings at all, because you can do a lot with the raw file. You can recover a lot of dynamic range out of a single photo. But for a lot of people, what the camera offers works just fine for them. Let's take a quick look at what each one of these settings does, because that's going to be important to understand when choosing which mode you want to use. Active D-Lighting works on a single exposure. You press the shutter button, one exposure is captured, and then the camera is going to adjust the tone curve to recover highlight and shadow detail. It's then going to save that as a JPEG. That adjustment will be baked into that file, and it's also used for the in-camera preview for your RAW files if you're also recording the RAW file format. In addition to off and auto settings, there are several manual settings that you can use based on what kind of look you're going for or how much contrast is in that scene. It's going to adjust the tone curve based on the strength that you choose here. Active D-Lighting is good for just everyday shooting where you want to reduce the contrast a little bit. Those tone curve adjustments look natural, especially at the lower settings. It may be just enough highlight and shadow recovery for you to be happy with that file without looking like it was over-processed. It can be very subtle. Here's a situation where you may want to use active D-Lighting. There's a lot of contrast here because I'm standing in the shade inside this building, shooting out to the bright outdoors. Without active D-Lighting, that sky is almost completely washed out, and that interior, the shadows, you don't see much detail at all. Then you can see the progression, the comparison of the different active D-Lighting settings. They all look natural, not over-processed, but as we increase in strength, we start to get more color back in that sky. We can see some more detail on the ground in the sunlight. And if we look in the shadows, some of that shadow detail is starting to come back, but not too much. Now, this is different than the HDR mode, most significantly because HDR mode takes two exposures, one right after the other, of different exposure values, and then it merges them in the camera, much like you would merge auto exposure bracket in computer processing software to create an HDR image. The camera's doing that right after you press the shutter button. The output is going to be a single JPEG file with a much wider tonal range than any single frame could capture for a JPEG. You can also have the option of saving the individual RAW files that make up that final HDR JPEG. This HDR mode is also good for static scenes that have a lot of contrast, like architecture and landscapes. And if we go back to our same old building interior scene, but now using the HDR mode, look at this comparison between active D-Lighting and HDR. That active D-Lighting, like I said, is very subtle, but that HDR mode, you can see, takes that one step further. Those blue skies really start to come back, and that shadow detail in the building is now much more apparent. And like active D-lighting, there are several different strengths of high dynamic range that you can choose when you are creating that HDR, in addition to an auto option. So here's a comparison of those different HDR strengths. You can see the low strength may look like there was no processing applied at all, very subtle. And then if we go to the highest strength setting, you can see there's a lot of color and detail in both the highlight and the shadow areas. But because of that extreme blending, you can actually see halos between where the shadow areas and the highlight areas butt up against each other because of how they're blended. The camera feathers that, and you start to get some bleed over from the shadows and the highlights into those opposite areas. The key differences to know are that active D-lighting is just one frame, it's very subtle, and it'll work for any subject. HDR is multiple frames, it's a much more aggressive adjustment, and it only works with static subjects because it is taking multiple frames. Active D-lighting is something that you can just leave on all the time. You can leave it running at like a low setting, and that's always going to apply those subtle adjustments. Or you can leave it in auto and let the camera handle it. You can even bracket the ADL settings. ADL bracketing is just one of the many shooting modes that's covered in my Advanced Nikon Shooting Modes course. So you can do all of them and then just pick which one works the best. HDR is more of a choice that you're going to have to make when it's appropriate for that scene. So when are you going to make that choice? How are you going to make that choice? Well, this breakdown kind of makes it really easy. If you want subtle in-camera processing, or there's anything moving in the frame in front of the camera, use ADL, active D-lighting. If you want more advanced, more aggressive adjustments to the tonality and nothing is moving, then try using HDR. And that's the key point that a lot of people miss, is that if you try to use HDR, if anything is moving, you're going to get a lot of what's called ghosting, because the camera is not going to be able to blend whatever shifted position between the two frames. Let's take this example right here of my dog playing in this puddle in the creek. He's moving around, the water's moving, the grass is blowing in the wind. This is a situation where if I want to reduce the contrast, I'm going to have to use active D-lighting. I did an active D-lighting bracket here just so you could see what the different results look like for the different strength settings. There's a little more detail in the shadows from the lowest strength to the highest strength, and then the sunlit dirt, you can see, starts to hold more color and detail in the higher strengths than it does with the lower strengths. So that's what I would use to reduce contrast in a situation like this, where something is moving. If I try to create an HDR here of the dog running around, you can see this ghosting is really apparent, and you're not going to be able to use this image at all. The dog moving between the first and the second frame, even though they are rapidly created one after another, the camera just can't blend that. And even if the dog stood completely still, or there was no dog at all, this was just a landscape, you can see that if the wind is blowing any grass, you also have this ghosting apparent in the grass. Though right here, this is a very subtle example of that. You can imagine if anything was moving any more than that, or you were trying to hand hold the camera and you weren't very stable when you did that, then that ghosting is going to be even more apparent, even though you're just photographing still life. This example here was just handheld, not having very good posture, and that camera cannot align the two images because of the movement from one to the next. Now you may just say, well, why can't you take one RAW file and work on the highlight and shadow tonality in a RAW processor? Well, you can. I'm not saying that you cannot do this, but again, what I want to stress here is these are ways for JPEG shooters to handle high contrast scenes. Anytime you want a photo after you press the shutter button that's ready to share, that handles that contrast, these are the tools that you're going to use. You certainly can just shoot RAW, take that RAW file, and work on it on a computer, but not everyone wants to do that. So use one of these two techniques when you just want that JPEG photo and have the camera handle that contrast for you. If you want to learn even more about these modes and all of the other advanced shooting modes that Nikon cameras offer, like AE bracketing, white balance bracketing, time-lapse, focus shift, and pixel shift, you can check out my Advanced Nikon Shooting Modes course that you will find linked in the description here. You can save 20% on that course with the code TUBE20. Please let me know if you have any other questions or additions about these two modes. Subscribe for more great tips like this every week, and I hope to see you in the next video.